DreAllDay.com.
What's good, everybody? Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. Right now I'm standing at the pool deck. But right next to the pool deck, where I'm at, is the gym. It's a nice gym. Plenty of equipment. Not a basketball court gym, but a weight room gym, cardio gym, you know, that kind of gym. It has plenty of equipment. Everything you need to work out is in there. And I walked in there about 8 o'clock on a Sunday morning. Wasn't nobody in there. And I remember I just thought to myself when I walked in that gym, listen, if I was still in the gym, listen, I'd have been there an hour before that, getting it in with nobody else in there. And I'm not telling you that to impress you, but to tell you, like, for you athletes out there, and for everybody else too, I'm using sports as an example, but for you athletes out there, you gotta be willing to do what nobody else is doing. You gotta be willing to separate yourself from everybody else. And while I've been recording, I've seen people come in there, and this cats, they'll come in there as a group, like 3 or 4 of them come in there together, and they get their little workout in, and then they leave. And I would always think to myself, and I said this in a different video before, I never liked working out with other people. So if I'm working out with somebody else, that means both of us is doing something. So I can't say I'm doing something that nobody else is doing because it's 2 of us right here. So even on that, I always wanted to work out by myself. I wanted to get up. Like, if you get into the gym at 7, I'm getting there at 6. And if you find out I'm getting there at 6, so you start coming at 6, then I'm coming at 5. And then you start coming at 5, I'm coming at 4. We'll just keep going until you stop showing up. That was just the mentality that I always had. And whether we're talking sports, we could be talking business, we could talk just anything in life, you got to be willing to do what everybody else is not doing. And if that, what everybody else is not doing, that means getting up early, if that means for every one video somebody else put out, you put out 3, if that means for every somebody puts out a book a year, you put out 3 books a year, you put out 5 books a year, you put out a book every week, if that means somebody got a podcast that comes out 3 times a week and you got to put yours out every day, whatever you got to do to separate yourself from all the other competition or everybody else who might be able to raise their hand and say, hey, you do that, me too. You got to do something that separates you, that makes it clear that you don't have to give a long, detailed explanation about why you're different from the other person, but that is obvious, that somebody could just look at you and look at everybody else and be like, damn, there's a clear difference between him or her and everybody else in the space who's doing a similar thing or claim to be doing a similar thing. You got to separate yourself in a way that you ain't even got to explain what's different, because people could just look at it and be like, God damn, this dude then did a podcast every day, 1,000 days straight. Or this guy right here put out all these videos. This person showed up at 5 in the morning. Everybody else getting there at 7 in the morning. This person is always working out by themselves, getting it in when the gym's empty, while everybody else showing up as a group, you know, so they can Instagram and YouTube themselves. So they got the little support system at 7 a.m., but he's showing up at 5 a.m. every day. Whatever you got to do to separate yourself. And sometimes people start asking me these little minutia questions like, well, how can I separate myself if I don't have a gym and the gym don't open till this time so everybody gets there? Listen, fuck all that. I'm not even talking about that. This is not the what you need to do specifically. This is not the granular topic that I'm talking about here. This is the mindset. Because, see, this is something that I said in my book, Work on Your Game, and I say it all the time in these videos and on my podcast. The principle is be, do, have. See, people always asking about the doing part. How do I do this, or how am I going to do this if, and then they got all their excuses and all these little contingencies and all these details about their lives that they think makes it impossible for them to do whatever it is I'm talking about. But here's the point. It's not about what you do, even though the topic of this video is doing what other people don't do. I want you to take a step backwards and go a level deeper with yourself mentally. It's about who you are and how you think. Because when you change who you are and how you think, the doing part will come to you. The first step is, I'm going to do what everybody else is not doing. Once you get that in your mind, I guarantee you, your mind is a very powerful tool when you put it to work. The problem many people have with their minds is that they never put it to work. They put their mind to work to come up with excuses or come up with reasons or come up with rationalizations for why they're not separating themselves from everybody else when I have a topic like this. So the first step is, I'm going to do what everybody else is not doing. Now, the next step, look at what everybody else is doing. Look how everybody else is presenting themselves, and then your brain will start thinking, since you already made the decision, I'm gonna do what everybody else is not doing, your brain will start coming up with ways. It will find ways for you. You won't even have to force it. It will find ways for you to separate yourself from everybody else. But the first step is you got to make the decision that I am going to separate myself, that I am going to be different, that I'm not going to be like everybody And this can be those of you who, maybe you're not more skilled than everybody else. Maybe you don't have the resources. Maybe you're not as known. Maybe you don't have the track record or whatever you think would make you stand out just off of skill or off of talent or off of accomplishments. You might not be able to beat everybody at that. There will always be somebody more skilled, more talented, with more resources, more accomplishments, more decorated than you. There will always be somebody who fits that description for you in anything that you do. Okay? So you can separate yourself just by doing what they do. And this is something I've said on my podcast. Different is better than better. You understand me? Being different from everybody else is more valuable than being better than everybody else. Because being better than everybody else, sometimes that's a matter of opinion. It can be very subjective. Like we say, who's better at basketball? People argue, LeBron, Kobe, Jordan, or who's better, who should be MVP, James Harden or Giannis. The whole point is, if you're different, then nobody can say, hey, nobody can argue. Different is just different. Now, they may put a different amount of value on your difference, on what that difference matters, if it matters at all. But when you're different, you stand out because there's nothing similar to you. If you're trying to say you're better, and then you might have to explain to somebody, well, I'm better because I did this and they did this, and look at this statistic and look at this number, and you can kind of argue that back and forth. But different just stands out. Everybody notices something that's different. We may not all have the same opinion as to what's better, but we all notice when something's different because it stands out from everything else. And when you stand out, you have no choice but to pay attention to you. And the economy that we live in these days, the world that we're in these days, this is the attention economy. If you can't get people's attention, I don't care how good you are, you could be better than everybody, but if you can't get their attention because there's nothing different about you, because you're doing the same thing as everybody else, or it appears that you are, then who's going to notice you? And who can pay you money if they can't pay you attention? So if you want to do something different from everybody else, here's what you do. Here's the call to action. First of all, decide that you're going to do something different from everybody else, even though you're in the same place, you have the same resources, you work out at the same gyms, you're at the same boss, you got the same education. You think everything's equal with you and everybody else in your space. Decide that you're going to find a way to separate yourself and make yourself stand out from everyone else. Once you decide you're going to do it, you will figure it out, because the brain is a very powerful tool, but your job is to actually put your brain to work. Now, in the game group, this is my membership site. The link to it is down there in the description. This is where I explain to you and show you how you can do this. And I have 4 specific areas I do in it: overseas basketball, basketball skill development, personal development, and business. Those of you who are building a brand, building a business, running a business, these 4 areas, you can choose which one works best for you. That's where you're going to get the systems, the strategies, the processes, these things that I've said I'm not going into here in this video. This is where I'll open up the ball and show you how I did it systematically myself in those 4 areas. Work on your game. DreAllDay.com. Nobody out there needs more information. What you need these days is a strategy, frameworks, processes, how to actually take all the information that's out there, all the knowledge and content that's out there, make sense of it, and actually produce a result, a tangible result. That's why I created the game group. It is my membership site where you will get tangible results for specific areas: business, personal development, basketball skill, and professional basketball. Choose your area of focus, and we have targeted, specified outcomes every single month, along with live trainings, the ability to contact me, have your work critiqued by me, and a whole lot of other stuff. The link and all the information is down in the description at DreAllDay.com/membership. Get in the game group if you're ready to get some results and not just a whole bunch of information. Let's do it. Work on your game.